Hi, welcome to the award-winning Ed Brown Show. And we have Professor Bill Keating here. I mean, we're going to talk about something that all of you need. That's financing and how to get the right financing and how to get that money for the education and finance for your children and for their education. Hey, Bill, welcome to the Ed Brown Show.
Ed, always a pleasure to see you. Happy New Year to you.
Oh, yes.
I haven't seen you since last year.
I tell you, the years passed.
They sure do.
But tell us about this. I'm just helping others. This topic, this book that you wrote, and I mean to think about it. You know, a lot of people write books, but you wrote a book and you showed the people by doing it yourself. You have youngsters in college, out of college, and the best way to do it, you tell them about it.
Exactly. Well, the book was written because many years ago, I used to be out there representing selling securities and setting up IRAs and children's education plans, and I discovered one big problem with most families. They didn't have any money.
Right.
They were in debt.
Right.
So for the next 20 years, I focused on the problem of debt. And eventually, about 10 years ago, or maybe even less, I wrote a book called Leveraged to the Hilt. And that book basically says, how do you get out of debt and how do you stay out of debt? And what I learned in those 20 years is that just knowing how to do that is not enough. You need some tools, okay? Some
and
tools
what are those tools?
So tools exist in the form of software. And so in the back of the book is a CD that has software. And the software does a lot of things, but the most important thing it does, it takes a look at your bills, organizes them, and develop a plan for you to become debt-free in a much shorter period of time than you were originally scheduled to. And that's what I love about the product. And it does other things too, but that's the highlight of the CD that's attached to the book.
Mm-hmm. Okay, with that now, you know, problem of convincing people. How do you do that if you don't have example? Now you have an example yourself.
Exactly.
You know, of how it works, and you're putting it in print.
And it's in writing. It's in the book. The book. If you load the CD and you get confused, you go back to the book, find that chapter, and if you can read now, you can get through it.
Well, you say if you can read.
Yeah, and you know, it takes about 20 minutes total for you to start crying, because when you see how severe your debt problem is, it's very disturbing to you. But the truth is a light. You understand that. But once you understand what you have done to yourself with the help of others, okay, you'll be on a serious warpath to fix this. And believe it or not, in 2 and maybe a little bit more years, Ed, you'll have an extra $2,000 every month to do some serious things with. And not only that, we tell you what things you should be doing, by the way.
Yeah, okay. Let's start. Where you want to start?
Well, the first thing I want to do is, you know, you got to take care of yourself. One day you're going to retire.
Right.
Okay? And so if you have extra money coming in and you're not matching the 401k, in other words, if your employer says, we're matching 5% and you're only putting up 2%, first thing you do is go and start matching 5%.
Well, 401k, some people are confused by that, and there's some people out there that are misusing it.
Yeah.
Yes,
they are.
Tell us about that.
Well, the 401k is your retirement plan. And only about 16% of the companies today offer a defined benefit plan, which is what we know as a pension. The other 90 or 88%, all you're going to have is the 401k as part of your retirement plan and Social Security. And that's a
don't
big
you mention
surprise.
Social Security? That's going out.
No, I don't think Social Security be around.
You think so?
Well, yeah. I mean, it's Social Security. One of the things that's misunderstood by Congress is that that's not a entitlement. We pay into that.
We pay into the
program. But they want to
to
treat it like an entitlement, okay?
Right.
And those people should not be elected that think like that.
Right. Said it real loud. They should not be elected.
if they want to treat Social Security as an entitlement program, it's not entitlement. We pay into that plan our entire working time.
Right, exactly.
So they're just blowing smoke at us, okay? And we want them to blow smoke from the sideline. And every time one of them brings it up, we need to get out there and make sure that person never gets in office again.
Right. And that just takes a little time to do some homework on the individual and ask them important questions like that.
And eventually, guess what? They'll stop talking about it and realize that you have. By the way, they've already stolen billions of dollars from that Social Security pot. That's why they wanted to get rid of it. Okay.
Right.
Because now they're going to have to pay that money back.
Yeah. Well, see, that's the thing that occurs. You get individuals in office, and you get, and you have it on all levels, all races, everywhere.
Yes.
And every country, you see what some of the people, they really got violent about that type of thing.
Yes.
But really, you got to be careful when you're out there and you're thinking of the future. You have to protect yourself. You can't put your future in someone's hand that you don't know.
You cannot. No, you cannot. The person who's most responsible for your future is you.
Right.
And what we try to do is help people help themselves through education. Because if I can educate you about retirement planning, you will make different decisions for the rest of your life, or at least your working time. But we know that there's a lot of misinformation out there. And so we try to do that. And we said a little bit about getting out of debt, of course, is like the first step. Because what that does, it gives us what we call discretionary income. And when you're debt-free, you have tons of money that you can do other things with. And we said one of those things was to make sure your retirement plan is funded. The next thing is make sure your children have a chance by starting an education plan just as soon as it's humanly possible. Okay,
well, let's get into that a little bit. I've met some people that have asked me questions about that, and there's so many plans out there that often before the baby is born, they want to jump right in it because it sounds good. The baby's not in here and not here, so what I can do is put a minimum amount of, and I'll get maximum when they get 30.
Okay, well, that won't help us, but what we can do, Ed, we can project what the cost of college will be 15, 18 years from now. And if we miss it by 1 or 2%, that's okay. But it's better than doing nothing, okay?
Right.
We can estimate what college will cost. We have historical prices, and we just apply that. Okay, and so we know that if the child is less than a year old, we have 18 years to accumulate some piece of money.
Well, what percentage of this that is the government's responsibility?
0.
But okay, so they don't provide the facility. They don't provide the things necessary for instance, you have a schoolhouse over here, and they have one book for every 5 children, and the one down the road has 5 books for every 1 child.
No, that's not part of that's not the government's. That's local government's problem.
Well, that's what the government.
Yeah, but
and see, I'm glad you mentioned local government.
Yeah.
Most of the people out there, presidential election, they jump out and put the bandwagon on, but they don't realize the local government is the one that causes you more problems than any government.
Right.
State government, your local, the people that you put in office and locally, they're the ones that determine the educational level, your job, all of that.
Now, the one thing that the local government has done is to give us a vehicle where we can accumulate money for kids' education. And that's called the 529. And 529.
That's in your book?
Oh, no. My book is all about getting out of debt.
Okay.
But it is part of my education.
You write another one.
Oh, eventually, but I got a lot of stuff going on now. But the 529 serves as a vehicle. If you can't do anything, start a 529. And once you get more education from me about what you should do next, we end up with something called a Coverdale, okay? And if you can understand that, then we're going to go a little bit deeper, and we're going to get into different types of securities that we can put our dollars in under the Coverdale. So when that child turns 18, he will go to college. Otherwise, he knows you'll take that money and go play golf or something.
Oh, wait. Let's go back on that now. You're saying that by the time the child is 18, he will have enough money to
4 years of college.
4 years of college.
We've developed a plan.
At a rate of $20,000 a semester.
Doesn't matter. Once we understand what the future is, we can use these calculators that tell us exactly how much we should put aside each month to meet our
goal. At the current level.
We take the current level and project it 15, 18 years out. Not a big deal.
So you increase it.
It's going to be more, yes.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
But then whenever that number is, we can find out what do you need to put aside each month to get there. And we go.
Okay, well, what about these plans where they have a minimum of X number of dollars, and then 20 years later, they tell you and the price of education is going out of sight? Well, maybe 20 years ago, that dollar meant something, but now it doesn't mean anything.
There's an insurance product out there. I can't say the name of it, Ed.
Yeah.
But the insurance product tells you that if you put these number of dollars in, that by the time that child turns 18, you might have, and I say the word might, okay, because I'm being very nice to them, okay, have this amount of dollars. What we know factually is that if you have a plan that's calling for $30,000 that you're going to put in, 18 years from now, the value of that plan is $30,700. You have $700 growth over 18 years. That's pathetic.
Is that right?
Unfortunately, I can't say the name of it, but this, again, is part of the education because it helps us to understand, well, if I'm going to put money aside for my kids, I can do the 529, I can do the Coverdale, but I certainly am not going to entertain an insurance product. That's education. No way.
The 529 opposed to the insurance plan. That's what you say.
Oh, yeah, definitely not insurance. But the 529 is something that allows us to have this money accumulate without any tax burdens. And certainly no tax burden when we take it out. So is the Coverdale behaves the same way. And there's another little trick here which I cannot tell you about, but if you come and get the education ad, guess what? You'll learn all these kinds of things that'll help you develop your plan for your kids to have a good education.
Now, how realistic, how is this something that I would say the average person can get involved in?
Oh, yeah. If you're a homeowner, definitely.
So that's the key.
That's one of the keys.
One of the keys is you got to be a homeowner.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which is another, and by the way, that's another education problem because we have people out here today, Ed, that are paying ridiculous numbers in rent.
Right.
And we have a program that says if you're paying this much in rent, you can afford a house of this magnitude. And it's a mathematical problem. And once they see this, they say, "My goodness." Okay. And this is the house you can afford with no money down. If you put 5%, 10, 15, and 20, the value of that which you can purchase goes up, up, up. It's nothing. It's a mathematical problem, and we solve it for you easily. Give it a spreadsheet, and you can solve it yourself, Ed.
I mean, that's one of the things that a lot of people, I'm sure, in your book, you are helping others to understand things like that, because there's so many systems out there that promises, excuse me, that promises the types of things that maybe the people, they start out with it. And tell me this, what is it, 529?
529?
Okay.
Yeah.
What now I'm asking, what is the rate of people being successful with that plan.
Everybody who contributes to the 529 will have some degree of success. Because these are state-run programs.
Okay,
and they're very conservative, Ed.
Okay.
And the reason I like to move away from the 529s, because if you have enough time, you should be more aggressive and therefore seek different vehicles, okay? And so the education says, okay, I'll put some money in the 529, but I'll put more money in some of these other vehicles because they're going to get me where I need to go, and it's not going to cost me as much. Remember, if you have a very conservative plan, you have to put a lot more money in there. If you have one that's aggressive and takes advantage of the number of years you have to accumulate, it simply translates into something that says I can take a little more risk, okay? If I take a little more risk, I'll get a better return. And we expose this kind of education to families, and guess what? They make good decisions.
Well, is that associated with a family that wants to go into business?
Nope. Nope. This is just has nothing to do with that. And I've done it. I just recently did it with my boy. As you know, he's a senior at Amherst this year, and he graduates in June. And whatever I'm talking about now, and I've already applied to him. And Ed, when he comes out of Amherst in May, by the way, he will not owe one dime of student. He will not have a student loan at all.
Well, what's the thing that other students have to think in terms of is the availability of jobs after they get these degrees?
Well, I think a lot of that happens with your planning. You have a couple years when you get out of school in the summers. You can look for intern opportunities.
That's the key. A lot of people don't value that.
Exactly.
But I try to tell youngsters that quite often. In fact, we try to do that here in the studio.
Right.
Is have mentors and to come in and get the experience in the field that they're interested in, and that way they really see. Because had one gentleman. He wanted to get involved in veterinarian, and I had a friend, and I got him a position over there the weekends, Then he saw what a veterinarian had to do. He changed his mind. But it was a lesson that I tell that story because of the fact that mentoring gets you the exposure that's priceless.
Right, it does. But you have to keep in mind, too, most kids coming out of college have no clue, really, of what they really want to do.
Right.
But when they have their first experience, okay, that thought is either reinforced, okay, or it's enforced, that this is what I want to do and this is fine. But if it's not what they want to do, thank heavens they can make a decision. I'll start looking someplace else. I do not like this kind of work.
Well, what about the community colleges? What the role that they play in having a youngster make decisions?
I think if you look at the Montgomery County Community College and its linkage with University of Maryland, which is right here in PG County. Is that correct? You finished 2 years at Montgomery College, Montgomery Community College, and you were automatically matriculated into the University of Maryland. And so here you have a student that's locally goes to college, okay, which reduces expenses, doesn't have to stay on campus.
Right.
And so the cost is much lower until he matriculates to University of Maryland. And he gets a real test.
Right, because what do you think in terms of, I've had youngsters, I spoke to them, and a lot of them complain about the drive that some parents have going to college. The blue-collar aspects of it is that quite a few youngsters, they're not college material.
They're not.
So how do you get that one way or the other, encouraging them not to go to college and pick a a trade, blue collar trade, or going to college.
That's what I like about the Montgomery County college system. You certainly have an opportunity to find out if that curriculum is for you, and if not, next door is all the trades right there. So that makes a lot of sense.
Excellent.
But the student is going to have to find that out.
Yes.
And many of them know it. Trust me. Many of them say, no, I didn't like calculus, I didn't like English, I didn't like all of that, any of that stuff. I'm good with my hands, and I want to, be an HVAC technician or what have you. And that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, because we have a tendency as far as salaries, concerned, but they fail to realize that blue-collar salaries are up there,
Always have been.
Yeah, always have been. All of these
have you ever tried to bring a plumber in or HVAC? Yeah, you want to just kind of mind the wrong business.
Right. He wants a couple $100 just coming out.
Exactly.
To see what's wrong. You know what I mean?
And he said, if I fix this, and he said, I got the premium.
Right.
He came out to look at the garbage disposal.
Yeah,
It was
right.
making noise, right?
Right.
And he said, I think I may have fixed it, but if you want me to replace it, I have the premium that's guaranteed for ever. It's only $700. I said, you joking, right? He said, no, I'm not joking.
Right.
I said, no, we're going to work with this for a while. We'll call you if we need you.
Right.
Amazing.
Well, a lot of youngsters don't have that exposure, and the parents don't have that exposure either.
Right.
That's in their drive to, as far as peer pressure.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Susie, son went to college, and I want my daughter to go or whatever.
Right.
And a lot of that parents don't understand themselves, and it's difficult for the youngster to get that over to the parent. Especially if the parent is a college grad himself, he puts a lot of
I know
pressure.
how old you are. You know how old I am. I sure didn't have any of that kind of leadership when I turned 18. And I was undecided about what I could do. And the only thing that made sense to me was to join the United States Army, one of the best decisions I ever made in my life.
Right.
So we have choices now.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
And if you can't afford college, I don't know of a better place to learn how to grow.
Okay, tell us a little more about this book. We got about 5 minutes.
Oh, this.
Yeah.
Okay.
Helping others. I
Helping
like that
others.
title.
Okay, we do so many things. One of the things that just got me so excited about what we're doing is
helping others to help themselves.
Exactly.
That's the key.
Yes.
A lot of people, they want, they got the hand out to everything. Helping others to help themselves. I like that title.
Insurance companies, and I don't like them because they have mistreated me, okay? And once I understood.
You've been a victim.
I've been a victim. Insurance companies assets total $5 trillion. You hear what I'm saying? $5 trillion. And they invest in everything. They own 6% of all the credit card business, okay? And you would think that the return that they give me and you would at least cover inflation. And do you know what? It doesn't.
It doesn't.
Does not. Banks.
Oh,
we
wow.
have checking accounts. We have savings accounts. We have CDs, Ed. You would think all the money that the banks make, and they make a ton of money.
Oh, yeah.
I'm talking about trillions again, okay?
Right.
Do you think that they would give a little bit back to us so that we could at least let our money keep up with inflation? No, they don't.
I know, but you know what happened when they had these people losing their homes?
Yeah.
And the bankers, they took your money, my money, and bailed them out. And then and the irony of the thing is that then they gave their CEOs
big
bonuses.
Yes.
I say give CEO bonuses,
Right,
and the people got thrown out the houses. That shows you the type of money that they're making.
Listen, when the Congress was going through that, they had a couple of those CEOs come into Washington, and they made the mistake of flying in their private planes.
Private planes.
And Congress kind of ate their lunch, okay? So the rest of them took public transportation, okay? But you're absolutely right. The money is so huge. And if you don't know this, last year Congress voted to support them again if they
Yeah.
if they got in trouble.
Yeah, right.
And the Republicans did that, by the way.
Yeah, and see what happens with that. That affects the whole economy.
Oh yes.
Because just like you say, that's money, easy money.
Yes.
Where they always tell a youngster you got to work for your money. Yeah. But when you look at a banker, he said, "Work for your money." I said, "What is it? 18% that they, if you go in a bar or something, and they give you, if you have a checking account, they give you 3% on
They'll
your
give you
savings."
anything.
It's
That's the point I'm making.
Uh-huh.
Checking account is free money. No return do you get.
Mm-hmm.
Zero. Savings account, less than 1%.
Yeah.
Free money.
Free
okay?
money. That is free money.
I have
and tell us the advice you're saying that couples should not have two checking accounts.
Exactly.
Okay, tell us about that.
Well, basically, there's nothing but loan. See, here's the thing. We need to stop loaning our money to insurance companies and to banks. Mm-hmm. In insurance companies, excess premiums, okay, that we need to learn how to find products where we aren't penalized excess premiums. Banks, we need to stop putting lots of money in checking accounts, stop putting money in savings accounts, and reduce the amount of money that goes into CDs. Mm. And when you get the education about how those things
three,
work
the checking,
and what the
savings,
alternatives are,
uh-huh,
you have a different person. We are really helping others to help themselves through this whole thing called education.
Mm-hmm. So your advice is all you people out there or young or senior citizen is that checking account is you have two of them there.
Yeah,
that's not a good idea.
No.
And same thing with the savings, you get 1%, right, and the checking account you get 0.
Well,
so your advice, Professor, is to
well, the checking account for two people. I run into this occasionally with people who are married. Okay, and
yeah,
and they have two checking accounts. Just ran into this
from
recently.
normally one had
I said,
one.
well, why are you having two checking accounts? Well, I said, how can you have your money and she has her money? I said, when you became united, you picked up her baggage and she picked up your baggage. So let's come together as a family, one checking account, all the dollars go in there. You got to beg each other to take some out for your own personal benefit, okay? But
that's the part they don't like.
I know. But in the meantime, now you got a handle on solving a lot of the issues that you have, especially when it comes to personal debt. And I just went through this with the family.
Right, right.
And they're on track. They got excited. They were a little bit upset at first.
After you went through and showed them how
exactly
money they're saving.
Exactly.
Without costing them anything.
Exactly.
See, that's the key.
Exactly. What are you doing? Come on,
system,
put that money somewhere else, other
yeah,
place.
the system shows you how to actually gain profit without actually losing anything.
I will say something. I probably shouldn't say this.
Okay. Okay, you want to wrap it up?
Yeah.
Okay.
Just be careful with your money. Understand that you might be very bright in electronics or whatever, but that doesn't mean you understand finance.
Okay.
Okay. And so just bite the bullet. Go get some financial education. You'll be surprised if you apply that same energy that you do for what you do well to finance, you have a very different life.
Okay, Professor Bill Keating. Now, this is #1. All of us can use this. This is a terrific book. In fact, what I'm going to do, I want to get 3 or 4 copies for my kids, you know. Maybe that'll keep them off of me.
Exactly. I like that.
Okay, this is Bill Ed Brown, and we have Professor Keating here. And we'll see you next time. Happy New Year, all that good stuff, I tell you. But save that money. Hey.